Welcome to Jumpstart Board Games. In this video, I'm going to be discussing all the games I played in May 23. It was a very busy month because we had a convention here in Wilmington, North Carolina, Board Games at the Beach. It was a lot of fun, played a ton of games. It's been a very busy month. I have a lot of games to cover, so I should probably get started.
Boing.
First up is Tumbling Dice. I played this 7 times. The basic gist of this game is a dexterity game. You have some steps that you're trying to either flick dice down or kind of toss the dice down. And the lower the step is that it lands on, the higher the multiplier is. But if it falls off the board, you get 0 points. So you're kind of balancing taking risky moves trying to get to the bottom of the steps, or try and play it safe and maybe land on one of the higher steps but not get as many points. It was a ton of fun. This was one of the play to win games at Board Games at the Beach. Played it a ton of times hoping to win it. Didn't win it, but still had a blast. It's a great convention game. Dice Miner. I played this game 5 times. Dice Miner is a dice drafting game where you are drafting these dice off of a mountain and you're trying to use them to score points and do different things. It's a very fun game. It's very simple to teach. Basically everyone I ever play it with really enjoys the game. The dice look really cool. This is one of my favorite filler games lately that I've been keeping in my bag. America's Main Street. This game is kind of like a roll and write, except you're not rolling and you're not writing. Instead, you're pulling cubes from a bag, and there are different numbers of cubes for each color. So you know that some cubes are going to be more rare and some are more plentiful in the bag. And there's actually 2 games on this. The sheet has 2 sides. One version you're trying to get the same cubes, and in the other version you're trying to not get the same cubes. It's a very simple game. This game is kind of like, I guess, the grandchild of Can't Stop. Kind of the same push your luck mechanism. This one was a hit at the convention. A lot of people enjoyed this one, and it was kind of a surprise. Attack on Titan, The Last Stand. I played this game 2 times. I think I won once playing as the Titan, and then I lost playing as the Titan. Actually, the first game I lost, and then the second game I kind of was trying to come back with a vengeance and just destroy them as fast as possible. Normally, what I try to do with this one is sort of play it kind of like a DM, where I just modulate the difficulty as I see fit. I always see on Board Game Geek that the advantage is kind of in the hands of the scouts. But when the people aren't really familiar with the game, I would say the advantage is with the Titans. So this is one that I look forward to playing more. And if it gets to the point where the scouts are just able to defeat the Titan too easily, there are some modifications that can be made. Exploding Kittens. I played this game twice. I'm not really a big fan of this game. The basic gist is you're collecting different types of kittens and trying to get 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind to do these special abilities. And also there are bombs that might come up and you have to be able to defuse them by having defuse cards. It's a very popular game. I can see why people like it, but it's just, I don't know, it's not that enjoyable for me. I'll play it, it's not that long, but it's definitely not something that I'm going to ask for. Green Team Wins. I played this game twice. There are a lot of games like it. It's kind of a party game where you're trying to choose an answer that's kind of the same thing as most people are choosing. This one does it in a slightly different way. I really enjoyed it. I really like party games. I like this one, and I look forward to playing it again. Galapagos. I played this one twice. This is the cooperative game where you start off working together until the food and the water runs out, and then you got to figure out who's going to do without. I got to play this one with one group. Was actually a couple of kids. I was a little worried that maybe their feelings would get hurt. But they were good sports about it, and actually they were 2 of the last people that were still left on the island. This game is continuing to prove itself, and it's great at higher player counts. Sunny Day Sardines. I played this one twice. This game is extremely simple, and in fact, it's actually pretty fun for how simple it is. When I say it's simple, literally anyone could play this game. You're going to be taking 2 sardines, or you're going to be cashing your sardines in for some gold cards. Keep doing that until you kind of run out of cards, and then the game's over. It's really surprising at how much I enjoyed it and other people enjoyed it, considering how easy it is. And it comes in a cute little tin. easy to carry around, toss in the car, or whatever. I was really surprised by this one. All of the other games I've only played once, including this next one, Ahoy. This game, I like to say it's kind of like Root, except you're pirates. I don't think it's designed by the same person who designed Root. It is released by the same publisher as Root. You have two people who are going to be kind of playing an area control game, and then you have two other people who are kind of playing more of a like pick up and deliver sort of game. And all these people can fight each other, and they can sort of benefit one another, but can also kind of hinder one another. It's a cool game. It's way more simple than Risk. It took a little bit for us to sort of figure some things out, and I think we still got some rules wrong. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It comes in a relatively small box, and I hope to get to play it again. Anomia. This is a really cool party game where everyone has a stack of cards in front of them. You're flipping the cards over, and there are these different symbols. If your symbol matches someone else's symbol, you're going to have to look at the other player's card, look at the category, and say a word that fits into that category, and whoever says it first kind of like wins, and they get to take the card. And the more cards you have, the more points you have. So, and in doing so, it can kind of cause some chain reactions also. It's a pretty fun game. One of the cool things about it to me is seeing some categories and then calling out an answer, and the thing that I say is something that I've never even thought about, or maybe haven't thought about in a long time, and I'm wondering, like, of all the things that I could have said, why did I pick that word? It's also cool when there's like just such a simple category, but you just freeze up and you can't think of anything. Really cool game. Artbox. Artbox is kind of like a drawing guessing game, but you're really limited to what you can use in your drawings. You roll like 4 or 5 dice. There's either going to be like some circles, triangles, squares, or lines, and you're going to have to construct a drawing based on what you have available, and you're going to have your little secret word. So you might have to draw, like a basket with, 2 triangles, a square, and a line, something like that. And once you do that, you put the images up, and we're going to kind of guess and see if we can figure out what is what based on the words that are available. This was a lot of fun. There's many other games like it, but this one was cool. The Binding of Isaac is kind of a take that game, similar to like Munchkin or something. Everybody's trying to get to a certain level, like 4 souls, and everyone else is trying to prevent them from doing that. It's kind of chaotic. There's a lot of take that. It took us a really long time to play this game. I want to say it was like 2.5 hours to play this game, which was way too long. I think maybe we might have got a rule or two incorrect. It was too chaotic for me. There was a lot of downtime. It was hard to kind of like plan your turn in between rounds because there was so much like, you make your plan and then it's like hand your hand to the person to your left, or you're getting cards stolen from you or stuff like that. I don't mind that kind of play and those kind of mechanisms, but just not in a 2.5 hour game. And again, I'm sure we could get the playtime down. We were playing at a high player count. We're playing at 6. And also maybe we got some things wrong. Maybe there was a little, AP in the mix. But very cool. There are a lot of mechanisms in this game that I like better than Munchkin. The art's really cool. There's some fun things there. But if it takes 2.5 hours, I don't think I'm interested in playing again. Coloretto. Coloretto is kind of a drafting, I cut, you choose sort of game where you are either going to be drawing a card and placing it in a row, or you're going to be taking all the cards in the row. And the rows have limited number of cards that can go there, so eventually you're kind of forced to take rows. The way the scoring works is really interesting in this game. There's like 5 or 6 colors based on how many players you're playing with, and the 3 colors that you have the most cards in, you're going to score points for. Any cards that you have beyond those 3, you're actually going to lose points for those cards. So you're trying to be very selective about which rows you're taking, and there's a little push your luck aspect. There might be a row that looks pretty good, but you're like, well, I'm just going to get 1 more card and add it to it, but you may be adding a card that's actually going to lose you points. This game stays in my bag. I always bring it with me. I really enjoy it, and I'm glad I got a chance to play it. Crokinole. I've been wanting to try this one for a while. I finally got a chance. It's a really fun game. Nothing, too special about it. You're just flicking discs, but it's pretty neat. You're kind of forced to a lot of times shoot your disc in such a way that it hits another player's cube. Sorry, you're forced to shoot your disc in such a way that it hits another person's disc. I played it 2 players, but I want to try it out with 4 to see what that's like, kind of get the team dynamic, and hopefully I'll be able to do that soon. Fabled Fruit is a pretty neat worker placement game where your worker placement spots are going to be these cards, and some of the spots are pretty interesting. There's a lot of player interaction. Maybe someone is forced to give you a few cards and then you have to give them some cards back, things like that. If you go to a spot where someone is, they have to give you a fruit, which is kind of the main, like one of the main resources. Well, the only resource really. So you're kind of trying to convince people to go to the spots where you're at. And it's sort of a legacy sort of game because when you run out of those basic cards, you introduce other worker placement spots in with other cards. So as you play, I'm assuming I didn't get that far, but these other cards are going to make the game a little bit more interesting, add a little bit more complexity to it. Really cool game. I really enjoyed it. Ferret Out. This game is a lot like Just One, except everyone's going to have their own card. They're looking at it, and there's going to be a word on there. You're going to take your easel. You're going to write a one-word clue trying to be vague. And once everyone's done that, you reveal your easel and you're going to look around. Now, everyone was looking at the same word except one person. And you're going to be trying to look at what everyone wrote and figure out who was that one person or the weasel. Everybody's a ferret except one person's a weasel. So you're trying to figure out who the weasel is. And if you identify who you think the weasel is, you write their name on the other side of the easel. And if you think that you are the weasel, you're going to write your name down, but then you're also going to write what you think the correct word was. And if you're able to identify what the correct word is, even though you're the weasel, you're still going to get some points. And people who figure out who the weasel is, they're going to get like a lower amount of points, I think. We honestly didn't even play with the points. We were just kind of trying to figure the game out. Even without the points, it was fun. But I can imagine when you play with the points, it's going to be a lot better. I'm glad we tried this one. To be frank, the art didn't look very good. The graphic design on the box didn't look great, but I'm glad I tried it out. I love Just One, and this is kind of like a next step from that. I'm going to try to track this one down. I think it is a little bit limited in availability, but hopefully I can get my hands on it. Fort is a deck building game, and an interesting sort of what makes this a little bit different is that generally on your turn, you're really only playing one card. Now, you can add other cards to it to kind of amplify the effect of that card. The other catch with this game is any cards that you didn't play by the end of your turn, you're going to have to put them up into like a small marketplace in front of you that other people are going to have the ability to grab those cards. So you're incentivized to actually use the cards that you have, and if you don't, there's a possibility of losing them. Funkoverse. This is a skirmish game where you're kind of slapping each other around, but there's also objectives, and you're trying to get those objectives to get points. I was playing with the DC version and the Game of Thrones version. We kind of mashed those up and had them kind of fighting against each other. I wish I was able to play this one a bit more. And I feel like this is a game, the first time you play it, it's kind of hard to sort of mesh together with your other teammates. I feel this one really benefits from getting more plays in and people kind of learning the game a bit more. And maybe I'll get the chance to do that. People don't seem to be as interested in playing this game as I thought they might be. So this one might be, coming out of the bag and going back on the shelf for a while, I think. Guillotine is kind of a classic game. Glad I got a chance to play this one. It's sort of hand management, and there's like a line of cards, and you're taking cards and playing action cards to sort of change the line and hoping you get the most points at the end of the game. It was a lot of fun, and glad I had a chance to try it. Hats is a hand management game where you are trying to collect different suits in front of you, and you're sort of setting the value of those suits based on cards that you place in this center board. This one, the rules are really easy. but it's kind of difficult to wrap, or for me anyway, to wrap my head around the strategy of this one, because the cards you have in your hand, you don't really get to play them down in front of you. You're going to play them on the center board, which does affect the value of the cards. But then the cards that you're taking from the board are the ones that you're actually playing in front of you. So it's just kind of weird to like manage that. It's a cool game. It's kind of a fun theme as well. Just a little tricky to figure out the strategy of it. Heat. This was the new hotness that I got to play at the convention, and I'm glad I did. It's a really cool game. I have Formula D. I like this a lot better than Formula D. Formula D is kind of on the chopping block. Probably going to be getting rid of that one soon. I might try to get one more play in of it before I sell it. In Heat, you're kind of managing risk. If you do these risky things, you're going to have these heat cards that come into your deck, which are kind of going to clog up your deck. You do have some opportunities to get rid of the heat, so you're kind of managing, the risk and also trying to get rid of those heat cards so they're not slowing you down too much. Like a lot of racing games, it's the whole, try to go fast, but you can only go so fast through the corners. So you have to have like a minimum speed going. You have to try to lower your speed when you're going through the corners. Hues and Cues is a cool party game where you have this array of colors and you're giving clues and people are trying to guess what the color is. It's a lot harder than it seems when you're staring at 10 shades of blue. But people seem to really enjoy it. It's a lot of laughs. It goes up to a really high player count, and I'm glad I have it in my collection. Ink and Gold is sort of a classic push your luck game where you're going into a temple, and the longer you stay in the temple, the more likely it is that you're going to get treasure. But if you stay in too long, there may be too many hazards that come your way and scare you, and you lose all the treasure that you had. So you come back empty handed. Whereas the people who played it safe, they took their treasure and got it in their tent where it's safe. This is a cool game. There's some weird things that can kind of come up sometimes. I've had some bad plays of it, but this was a really good play of it, and people seem to enjoy it. King of Tokyo. It's kind of a Yahtzee style game where you're rolling and re-rolling, trying to get certain results. You're playing as these kaiju trying to take over New York, and you're either going to be attacking someone else or healing yourself or just trying to get points or trying to get energy to buy cards. It was a very relaxing play of this game. It's, you don't really have to rack your brain. It's very straightforward. It's a cool beginner game. And I really enjoy playing it. Nightfall. This game, it can be cooperative or team versus team where you are fighting over these objectives and trying to race to a certain number of points to win the game. Nightfall really surprised me. I was not expecting to like this game as much as I did. The theme, isn't really for me, but it's a lot of fun. It uses a card system somewhat similar to Gloomhaven, where you can kind of use basic symbols at the top, or you can do like a special ability at the bottom. And you're kind of trying to balance between doing those things and working with your teammates and trying to kind of coordinate to prevent your opponents from doing what they want to do. This was a lot of fun, and it goes up to 6 players, which I'm a sucker for games that go up to a higher player count, and I'm really hoping I get to play this one again. Longboard is sort of a hand management drafting game where you're trying to build these boards and you're going in ascending order with the number value of the boards. So once you go to a certain number, you're not going to be able to kind of go back to a lower number. And you're trying to get the longest boards and the most boards you can. There's certain objectives that you're trying to go for. One interesting thing is people can sort of steal cards that you haven't assigned to a board yet. So there's kind of that element of, you better use it or someone might take it from you. But also sometimes if someone takes something from you, it could benefit you because you may actually end up giving you more cards than you had before. Love Letter. This game's starting to grow on me. Still, not the hugest fan of it, but it's pretty cool. And I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it. And, people that I play with seem to enjoy it. So there's a lot to be said for that as well. Millefiori. Probably my favorite game that I played this month. This one's a lot of fun. You are drafting cards, and based on the card that you draft, you're going to be placing a little piece down on the board and scoring points in different ways. It's kind of a point salad. There's one area where you're just trying to get large territories. There's other areas that are more focused on like timing and trying to land on certain spots to get the most points. It's a lot of fun. An interesting part of this game is a lot of the times the things that you do are going to help you, but they're also going to help someone else. So you're kind of having to balance that. Like, I really want to do this for myself, but it's going to give someone else some points. And I don't really like how that feels. But it's a cool struggle to have. I really enjoyed this game, and I'm going to really try to get this one on the table again. Modern Art is a really cool auction game where you're doing different types of auctions and trying to get art and sell art and end up with the most money possible. I always have a lot of fun playing this game. There's always a lot of laughs with people sort of kind of arguing over, what they're going to bid, and, oh, you should pay me more money for that. Or all the art in the game is actual real art, and like half of the rule book is showing some of these pieces of art, like in a larger scale. Monikers. I've heard about this game and I finally got to play it, and it's just as much fun as they say it is. It's kind of silly, but it's a blast, and most people I played with really enjoyed it. If you're kind of shy, I guess you can just choose not to be the person giving out the clues. I mean, you could probably be sort of flexible with those rules and just be a guesser. Because it may, have you do some kind of silly things, but it's a lot of fun, especially if you're playing it with people that you know. And I guess if you're playing it with people you don't know, maybe it's kind of a good icebreaker. Skull King. This is a trick-taking game where you're starting off, everyone has one card, so you're playing one trick in the first round, and then 2 tricks in the second round, all the way up to 10 tricks in the 10th round. At the beginning of the hand, you're bidding how many tricks you think you're going to take, and then scoring points on how well you did that. This one, we were kind of learning it on the fly because it was at the convention. It was a play-to-win game, and I was pretty disappointed. I thought that I would love this game, and I think maybe we got a couple rules wrong. We were all trying to figure it out. But this one definitely fell flat. For one, it wasn't quite as simple as I thought it was. I'd watched videos on it and stuff before, and they made it sound like super simple. But there were some like kind of unusual things that would happen with certain cards and their interactions with one another. And some of the scoring stuff was a little funky. The scoreboard was very confusing for us. Again, a lot of these things, I'm not saying it's the game's fault. We weren't really prepared to play the game. I would certainly be open to playing it again because I was actually, very close to purchasing this game before I played it. So, I mean, I definitely had my hopes up for this. So maybe it will meet, my expectations if I play it one more time. Small Islands. This game kind of has a bit of a tile laying, Carcassonne sort of thing. But what you're doing is you're trying to set up these islands so that you can score them based on the things that are on the islands, the different symbols. And you can only place your house on one island, or you can only place one of your houses on the island. So you're not just trying to get one big island with all this stuff. You're trying to get small islands, a bunch of small islands, so you can sort of spread out. But there is some incentive for building the island up a little bit, because a lot of the scoring is based on what symbols are on the island. So that can kind of be a benefit. Something Wicked. This is a game that's supposed to take 15 minutes. It's really simple. There are these little wands of 3 different colors, and you're doing like one of 3 actions, kind of taking them out or putting them in to cause other people to put some in and then take some out. We played this 15-minute game for over an hour. I later found out that there was one rule that we were getting wrong, which is why we weren't able to. We didn't finish the game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we never finished the game because we got a rule very wrong, and multiple times through the game we were just so confused. Like, this is never going to end because the main goal of the game is one person is trying to get like 13 wands of one color, and anytime they got close, we would just be able to take the wands away, and like nobody could ever kind of reach that goal. But we did get a rule wrong, and that's the reason why. Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is a pandemic sort of game, but it's Star Wars. I actually like this one better than normal Pandemic. It seemed fairly thematic. You had all the planets, and you've got the little droids out there, and you're trying to get rid of them. You can change the difficulty based on the villain that you use and some other rules. I enjoyed this one a lot. Telestrations. This is a party game where you are either looking at a word and trying to draw a picture based on the word, or you're looking at a picture trying to write a word based on the picture. You start off with yours and you're passing it around kind of step by step in that process, and you get yours back, and then you look at it and sort of see how your word turned into something completely different. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool seeing all the crazy drawings and how one thing turns into another. Tidal Blades Banner Festival. This game, I went in completely blind. I knew nothing about this game. I had heard of Tidal Blades, but I didn't know that this existed. It's kind of like a trick taking sort of game, but you're playing your cards blind, and then you just flip them all over at the same time. And if you're in first place, you're going to do a certain thing. If you're in last place, you're doing a certain thing. If you're one of the ones in the middle, you're doing a certain thing. So you might be aiming to hit one of those certain points, but based on what everyone else is playing, you may not, get what you want. There's different ways to score based on placing cubes or placing discs in certain areas, or collecting fruit and trying to get the majority of that. Moving your jet ski around the track. It's a beautiful looking game. The components are really nice. I've never actually played Tidal Blade, so I'm not really sure how well those two connect. But it was a cool game. It was interesting. It was a little bit. It felt kind of random to me. It felt like you didn't really have a ton of control, but it was still enjoyable. Tutankhamun. This is a cool game. You are placing tiles out and building a river, and you're kind of fighting over the majorities for these different tiles. Some tiles there are many of them. Some tiles there are fewer of them, and it's really simple. You're kind of moving up as far as you want to go. You take the tile, but you can only move one step back. So you can move back one, but generally speaking, you're trying to get the majorities of certain tiles. Two Rooms and a Boom. This is a big social deduction game where you're given a secret card and you're on a certain team, and you're moving people back and forth between these two rooms. And after the game's over, if the president, which is kind of the leader on one team, and the assassin, the leader on the other team, are in the same room, then the bad guys win. If those two people are in different rooms, then the good guys win. It was fun. It was kind of hard to know what to base my decisions on. Basically the only thing you're doing is talking to people, and you can choose to like show people your color of your card or show people your entire card. And I was sort of just trying to like get other people to do things and sort of like befriend certain people and sort of weasel my way in without having to share too much information. It worked out. I think I won one game and lost another game. Yeah, won one, lost another. It was cool. I enjoyed it. I would also enjoy playing some other like large scale games like that. I don't remember how many people were playing, but it was like a ton of people playing this game. Windmill Cozy Stories. I enjoy this game a lot more than I was expecting to. The way you play this game is you have two decks of cards that have the exact same images on them, but one's smaller set and one's a larger set. You put the larger ones out in an array, and someone draws one of the small cards. They look at it, and they are trying to get someone to guess which card it is by telling a story. Now, the catch is, let's say we're playing a 4-player game. If I tell my story and the first person to my left guesses the right card, I get 1 point, they get 1 point. But if it makes it all the way to the fourth person, I will get 4 points and they will get 4 points. So you're kind of trying to target the person that you want, to guess. And generally, you're going to get more points if someone later in the turn order gets it. So you don't want it to be too obvious. And also, you may target that certain person because you know things that they know and you know how their mind works or whatever. This was a surprisingly fun game. I did not expect to enjoy this game as much as I did. Although, like, actually telling a story was kind of difficult to kind of come up with on the fly. So some of us were sort of doing poems or just saying these obscure things. So maybe we didn't play the game exactly how it should have been played, but we tried and we enjoyed it. Wits and Wagers is a cool game where you are answering trivia questions that have numerical answers, and you can actually get every question wrong in this game and still win. You do get a bit of a bonus for being the person with the correct answer or closest to the correct answer without going over. But a big part of this game is bidding on which answer you think is right. And the further in the extremes that the answer is, the more valuable a correct answer can be, the higher the odds are further from the middle. So you can really rack up a lot of points. If you know a certain person is knowledgeable in a particular area, you can bet on their answer and get a lot of money that way. So those are all the games that I played in May. It's been a busy month. Got a lot of great plays in. I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to next month. I hope you guys all have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you like the content that I make, please subscribe.